Chandler, I got to say something, man.
All right.
I come in here, 2 hour flight from 2 hour overnight flight, 2 hours from Newark to Bristol.
Yeah.
All day Bristol. Talk to you on DC and RC and MC.
Yeah.
We did our segment. You know, you're one of our favorite guests. 2 hour drive back, right to your room to talk to you tonight. And it immediately hits me, you know, to being a good looking white dude, there are benefits to that.
Okay.
To having the perfect family, you know, there are benefits to that. I'm walking around this room and fighters are talking about sponsorship and the shit that they, dude, sponsor. In this bathroom, I go to take a piss. Sponsor at the toilet paper. You brought your own toilet paper to the damn hotel room
I did.
because you're sponsored. I mean, dog, how many sponsors do you have?
Hey man, I think life is all about relationships, and you create meaningful relationships. And I think life is the ultimate meritocracy and creating relationships.
I mean,
you create the relationships based on merit, based on a symbiotic relationship.
I'm looking, I see 6 sponsors.
Here we go.
Look, I managed. You managed to somehow get wind that I like peanut butter and jelly. So what pops up? Dude, this guy right here is a politician. What popped on my doorstep? I get boxes of Cram, which, by the way, are really good. Yeah. And some of the kids on my wrestling team, I got a kid, really good wrestler, which I'm going to take these. I'm taking these to my room. Travis Grace loves these. He walks into practice with them every day. He takes them to school. They're a fantastic product. You guys should give it a try. Yeah. Now, you have enough sponsors. I don't need to help you selling them. Yeah. But we're in beautiful New York City because you're involved in another one of those fucking bangers. Yep. Like, how do you find yourself in this position so fast and every time?
Man, I think part of it is just being a lightweight. I mean, every single fighter in the top 10 of lightweight, especially the top 5, everybody wants to see them fight. Yeah. And we've talked about this numerous times. My first meeting was with Hunter Campbell in Vegas. I sat down, I shook his hand and said out 2 things. I want to be a good thing for your organization, and number 2, I want to fight the top guys right away. And here I am, my 5th fight, fighting another top 5 guy.
It's crazy.
Arguably one of the most decorated lightweights I think that we have right now. Probably the most decorated lightweight that we have. And Madison Square Garden, right next to Times Square, biggest platform I could ever ask for. Man, it's just going to be another fun one.
You know what's crazy, though? It's nuts because you couldn't possibly have imagined that it would be like this. Because everybody talks about we deserve. We don't deserve anything. We earn everything, right? You earn everything. You earned the title fight by beating Dan Hooker in the way that you beat Dan Hooker. Yep. Then, by going out there and fighting Oliveira the way that you did, you earned another big name guy. You got Justin Gaethje. Then, by fighting Justin Gaethje that way, Tony Ferguson, another name. Now you've earned a chance to fight Dustin Poirier. Nothing's given. Nope. But you couldn't have expected this.
No, there's no way I could have put the crystal ball. I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be awesome. I knew fighting in the UFC is the pinnacle of accomplishment and the pinnacle of a platform in mixed martial arts. But the way that it has happened, the manner in which it has, the way that just the support and the platform has just grown so exponentially is just, it's really, really humbling. And it also too, I mean, at some point too, you gotta pat yourself on the back too and say, hey, because you worked hard, because you did the right things, and because you were a very good employee as well. Yeah. And you said yes to opportunities. I said yes to backing up and making 155 pounds.
I remember that.
It's not easy for a world title fight backup. And then I said yes to a short notice fight Charles Oliveira because Poirier was tied up and Khabib. I said yes, and I said yes after yes. And some people will say it's Dana White privilege. Some people say I'm a yes man.
That was crazy when that dude said that.
Yeah, it was. But
here's the question though, Mike. Like when people say you're a yes man because you say you're willing to work and because you're blessed by the company that you work for, now you're, you know what I'm saying? Like in what walk of life is being a bad employee a good thing?
It never has been and it never will, and it's all derived and rooted in ego. And I think I'm just so grateful. I think I have a unique perspective of fighting outside of the UFC for so long.
And what did Bellator championship? 3 times? You were 3-time champ?
3 times, yeah. But watching all the guys that I trained with I lived a cleaner lifestyle, more championship lifestyle, worked harder than them, had more discipline than them. I deserved it more, but they got all the recognition. And I think now just coming over here, and then not only the platform, but just seeing the way the UFC is ran.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to get physical therapy or body work today. All my meals, all of my supplementation, everything is set up. I'm wearing all kinds of free clothing from the UFC, and everybody's got their different opinions on that. But this is the world premiere mixed martial arts,
Yeah.
and it's not even close. So I'm just.
Yeah.
I have the unique
grateful.
perspective, and I'm very grateful. So I think
Yeah.
it's all, instead of being rooted in, hey, me, it's me and my performances. You guys need me. They don't need me. You know,
Yeah.
we talked about that. As soon as you realize that the UFC doesn't need you, your organization doesn't need you, your employers don't need you, and you could be replaced like that, you really just got to operate in gratitude, and then you take every day in stride.
Okay, so when I hear you talk, and I've known you for a while, right? Great answers, very well thought out. You've got a beautiful wife, got 2 beautiful children now. Some people think it's a bit contrived. Dustin Poirier, one of those guys, saying that that's why you guys have had those issues, right? Because he feels as though what we all see on the surface, and I will, to my thought, my personal, what we see on the surface is what I've always gotten from Michael Chandler. But I'm one person. But to the people that don't get Michael Chandler in those ways that we might, they say, it's a little bit of a put on. To that, what do you say?
Well, I mean, an innocent man need not defend himself, and also a guy. I mean, I think my level of authenticity.
Why is that coming to question?
I don't know. I think it scares people, or there's just no way that my life is the way that it actually is, and that's fine.
Because it seems perfect.
Not perfect.
It seems pretty damn perfect.
I mean, I guess to some people.
But even Justin Gaethje, right? When Justin Gaethje was on the screen, oh, Chandler's right there. I hate his face.
It's true.
But like, why?
His face, Gaethje.
Remember that?
No, for sure. But I will go back to what the kind of beef was at UFC 276, or what it was with Dustin calling me fake.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, because who I was to him in Abu Dhabi when we sat there for an hour before weigh-ins and talked, who I was at my last Bellator fight, whenever he was fighting, I was fighting Benson Henderson, he was cornering a guy, who I was back then, and my impression of him changed because of the hot sauce comment and all that kind of. So
that was some crazy shit when you said that on the show. I started laughing, but it was the truth.
But it's true. It's like, yo, dude, hey, listen, I know we're gonna fight each other, but like, dude, I have a ton of respect, and I think we do have a ton of respect for each other. But we also we were so cordial that there was only one place that we could go down, which was down. Whereas most of these guys I've never even had interactions with, so I'm like, I'm not quite sure about him. But then when you meet a dude, and you're like, okay, he's got a wife and he's got a little daughter, and dude, he's got a foundation. He's the man, and I still think that, and I think he still thinks the same things about me, but also we're both climbing the same.
So where did it change in the interactions is the question, right? At Bellator, you guys both said it was an amazing interaction.
Yeah.
And then when you went to Abu Dhabi and you were the replacement, he was fighting Conor, right?
Yeah.
Amazing interaction.
Yeah.
But you said that the fake wasn't necessarily on your side; it was on his. Because you said that. You said on the interview with us, you said, Mike, you said,
oh, okay,
you were nice to me, and then when you went to the media, you said you'd rather sell hot sauce.
No, yeah, so I wouldn't.
So it's not you that's changing, right?
No, but it's so hard too, because we're in an industry full of. Just because Dustin Poirier likes me as a person doesn't mean Dustin Poirier, the fighter, thinks I deserve to fight him.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I can separate that too. I'm like, so maybe I shouldn't have taken it so personally, and I admit.
Man, but I think that's ego, right? That's all of our ego, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, you're an ego-driven guy. You're an alpha male, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So that kind of cuts you a little deep.
Yeah.
So when you got his name came across the desk, Dustin Poirier, did that jump immediately back in your mind?
Oh, for sure. Well, he was truthfully the first name that we said I wanted to fight Poirier when I first came into the organization. He said no. And then here we are 2 years later, and I knew I was going to eventually fight him, and I think right now is the perfect time for me to fight him, and not the best time for him to fight me. And
why do you think it's not the best time for him?
I just think, man, not nothing against him, but I think I want it more than anybody in this lightweight division.
Yeah.
I think I want this. When people say they want to be champion, or they want to say they want to prove the doubters wrong, or they want to say they want to prove it to themselves, and my wife, and my sons, and all my supporters, people way back in High Ridge, Missouri, that I said, hey, someday I want to be number one in the world. I truly believe that I can attain that, and I truly believe that I've made every decision necessary to be able to deserve that. It's nothing against Dustin Poirier. I just think I deserve it more. I think I deserve it more than everybody in this division, and that's not me trying to say that I'm better than anybody. That's the mindset that I have to have.
You have to operate that way.
And I truly believe every guy that I step in the cage against might beat me, but I guarantee that I've worked harder than him, and I guarantee that I am tougher than him, and I guarantee that I'm going to go out there and fight just as hard, if not harder.
So what does that look like Saturday? What does a fight between you two look like?
Man, it's...
because you've put yourself there already, right? You've envisioned it. Have you closed your eyes and... I mean, you can smell Madison Square because you've done it before.
Yep.
You've dealt with the interaction. So how many times have you closed your eyes at night when you're away from your wife and children down in Florida and you've said, let's go to Madison Square. Let's go to November 12th.
Yeah.
Let's go see what this thing looks like whenever it happens.
I've been there hundreds of times. I really have. And specifically, I mean, I've been visualizing fighting Poirier for years now.
Yeah.
You know, it's honestly, it's an honor to compete against him, man. He's a legend in our division. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I just think in typical me fashion, I'm going to get in his face. I think guys they're not quite ready for my speed, my power, my quickness.
You're like a CrossFit athlete. I swear to God, I watch you and I'm like, this dude's like a CrossFit athlete.
Maybe,
because you're strong and you're explosive and you're fast and you have all these.
Yeah, and I've trained that way. I've specifically trained because I think eventually we lose power. Eventually we lose speed. But I've continued to gain speed because that's how I train every single day in the weight room. I am trying to get faster. So I just think when I grab a hold of people too, the power in which I pick people up and slam them. You know, that Tony Ferguson takedown was halfway across the cage. You know,
it was nasty.
And he didn't get up.
You don't generally shoot that much, which I don't understand why.
Well, yeah. Well, I've been training it. I've been training it a lot since I came into the UFC. It just hasn't happened a lot.
So let me ask you this though, because you and the new champion Islam Makhachev are now, you guys have had words both ways. Is that part of why now the wrestling becomes more of a focus because you know what may be on the horizon? Because if you win, you got to really sharpen up those tools because those are the tools that will be tested in a fight against Makhachev.
Yeah.
Maybe not Poirier, but if you win and you get that title fight against that guy, you know what you're going to be facing. So is that part of why maybe?
It's a good question, but I mean, I think it definitely has changed my mindset a little bit where I'm just like, hey, because you also remember who you are. It's the reason I wear a wrestling singlet on Wednesdays.
I see that all the time.
It's the reason I wear wrestling shoes most of the time, and not because I, necessarily need them for protection or need them for grip or whatever. I like to wear wrestling shoes. There's something about lacing them up. I'm always going to be a wrestler. So, I think watching him win the title and just knowing who he is, I think, it's gotten me really excited about the grappling exchanges. And ultimately, I think I'm a better striker and have more power, and I think I can knock him out and mix things up. But, ultimately, I got to go take care of business on Saturday night, and then it's up to Dana and Hunter and Shelby and those guys, and we'll see what happens.
Last question about Makhachev before we go forward is, when you hear him and some of the stuff that you say, because people say, well, I didn't see it. People are watching it because the numbers are massive. And he says stuff like, you got to take away some of these guys' black belts. And he says things about you and Poirier, Chandler, all these guys. He was talking about Charles Oliveira, but in that regard, talking about you guys, almost dismissive.
Yeah.
Do you guys see it as dismissive, or do you understand, because of wrestling, that it's just these Russian guys and they don't really communicate as clearly as we do as Americans? Like, you always know my intentions. Yeah. I will always know your intentions. But a foreigner, you may not quite understand because they may say it a little bit more matter of fact.
Yeah. It's got to be. They don't know as many words and sentences to be able to put together, so they have to say it more matter of fact and black and white. So I will say that's definitely an aspect of it. And I also think Islam is just extremely confident. He really is. I mean, you can't train with Khabib your entire life, come up under his wing and watch what he did in this sport and not say, hey, he said I'm the next champion. He said I can do this. His father said I'm the next champion. I can do this. And not also believe it,
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of both. I think it's unwavering self-belief, and I think it's also a little bit of a language barrier, but hopefully he continues to work on his English and actually not really. I think he speaks just enough, just like Khabib did, man.
That's why it's why they're popular.
Yeah.
It's like they got a bit of a head start.
Yeah,
it's
like if all of a sudden he came out and started speaking in soliloquies and full sentences and stuff, you're like, he's not as cool as I thought he was.
Yeah, that's the shit, like soliloquy. Like, you're so fucking, like, that's the shit right there. You went to Missouri, bro. Like, you're smart as shit. Like, but you guys are not that much smarter than us at Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, man.
You guys can't be that much smarter.
No, yeah, I was a 4.0 student, dude.
She's not.
No, I'm joking. I
was about to say, damn, y'all do it different.
Wrestling.
Y'all want to say y'all do it different than we do it at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
But Mike, you have that unwavering self-belief also. You have that ability to go out there and compete at the highest level right now, right away. Saturday night, you get locked into the octagon with Dustin Poirier in Madison Square Garden. What is said when we walk away from here? Because we've said about Michael Chandler in 4 UFC fights, wow, he just walked down Dan Hooker. Oh, he had Charles Oliveira. You're very close to becoming the champion of the world. But it didn't happen. But we didn't lose much respect for you because of the way you fought. Then we watched you lose a fight to Justin Gaethje and almost raise you almost raised your stock even in losing because of the way you fought. And then you kicked Tony Ferguson in the head, which was crazy. Like you didn't train that, bro. You didn't train, you just fucking kicked him. You punted his face off. It was crazy. What's said about Michael Chandler on Saturday night? What do we sit next to that octagon afterwards going, after watching you and Dustin Poirier compete? What do you think it'll look like to us?
I think when you guys when the card gets done and Israel and Pereira are done and it's you and Joe and John sitting back there, I think you guys are going to say, wow, Michael Chandler stole the show again.
Yeah.
He stole the show. He's remarkable with his ability to go out there and compete wherever this fight needs to be. If it needs to be on the feet, if it needs to be on the ground, if it's quick or if it's a 15-minute fight, it's going to be spectacular. I just want to put people on their edge of their seats and make them feel something. And that doesn't mean I want to go out there and fight with reckless abandon. It means I want to show glimpses of greatness and create this masterpiece for my two sons to watch and see down the line. I want them to hear from people like you and fans and all these other people. Not me telling them how great Daddy was. I want them to hear from other people, and I think that's what you guys are gonna hopefully feel. And then we win the title.
This is the shit. See, this is the shit right here. This is the shit that speaks to my soul. Motherfuckers be trying to talk like Michael Chandler not this, Michael Chandler not that. But this is the shit. He's like an old coach, right? Like you're like an old coach, right?
Pull up my
like you're kind of like an old coach that just motivates. And if you don't get motivated by watching this dude prepare and learning from his mindset, something's wrong with you. Guys, Michael Chandler takes on Dustin Poirier at UFC 281 this weekend. Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena. These dudes' third fight from the top, and in a lot of people's mind, that's the main event. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Adesanya, Pereira, Zhang Weili, Carlos Esparza. UFC 281 is going to be bananas. Like, subscribe, go follow Michael Chandler everywhere. Michael Chandler has 50 sponsors. So every store you go into, you can get something that Mike Chandler endorses.
That's not true.
Go ahead and get it, guys. Until next time, another DC check-in with the boy Mike Chandler. Took way too long, bro.
Yeah,
it took too long to have you. Thank you for having me up here, man.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, taking the city. New York, baby. This city's alive when DC hits it.
Times Square, dude.
We in Times Square. Two wrestlers. Let's go.